show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings, and of course to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. How's everybody doing today?
What's up?
John, this is the wrong room.
Well, that's what I got texted.
I know, you're on the automation.
That's what I thought. How regular? So is Pepe Campos. That's the link we have. What link are we supposed to hit?
Hold on. Let me you're definitely in the wrong room. For everybody else, you're in the right room. John's
everybody else just stay where you are. Nobody panic. Otto and I are in the wrong room.
All right, hold on. Let me get it for you.
We're trying to find the room for the attractive people.
Oh man! All right, he should message you in a second.
Okay, all right. We'll hop off and watch. We'll watch for that text. Okay. All right. Well, hang up, Jose.
Sorry about that. Got interrupted by Mr. John Jackson. He tends to do that pretty casually. How's everybody doing today? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Hey. How you doing, Danielle?
I am well.
Good. It's good to hear, man. It's good to hear. A lot of people dread Mondays, but I like Mondays. Me and Anthony like Mondays. It's a new opportunity to make changes in people's lives every Monday. I really enjoy Mondays. I haven't dreaded Mondays in a long time.
That probably has a lot to do with you doing what you love.
Yeah, that's the truth right there. That's the truth right there, 100%. No, it's go ahead.
No, I was just actually having this debate with somebody, and I really didn't have anything to say to them other than just like, oh, how sad, because they were just talking about how they, they had to work, or what it was is they were dealing with their teenage daughter, and they wanted her to get a job because she flunked out of college. And, of course, dad wants her to get a job. And it's like, I'm more or less like, okay, well, let's figure out what you're passionate about. If you flunked out of college, clearly that's not it. But, there's so many of us today do let the pressure of society and think of, look, I got to pay my bills. I got this and this, which that's very true. But when you do stuff that you're passionate about, how much more easier it is for you to be, proactive and actually push forward, So that's what I like. Of course, you don't mind Mondays because you do what you love. So which I thought that was kind of interesting and right on point and right on time with the conversation I just had.
It's good. It's good. People are on the same wavelength. There's a lot of people that they think the same, and not everybody thinks the same, but there's a few people that do. And it takes, I don't know. I enjoy it though. I enjoy coming in to work on Mondays. We'll start now. We got people in here. Welcome to the Monday call. Thanks for Danielle for helping me out in the beginning. But we're going to cover a lot of stuff we implemented. We're coming out and working on in the future. There's a lot going on in the background that we're working on, and we need people's help. So not really a lot of people's help, but there's people here that you know who you are, but we'll allude to that later on. I don't know if Anthony's going to make it on this call or not, but either way, we'll carry on. We'll carry on either way. It's Monday. It's Monday today. I really wanted to talk about just consistency. A lot of people struggle with consistency, and we are always being consistent. And I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of people show up to these calls. It's why a lot of people, I wouldn't show up if people didn't show up here to listen to me speak. So consistency. So consistency on all parts, whether you're producing content or if you're consuming it, just make sure you're consistent in what you're doing. A lot of people struggle with that, and it's okay. I think it took me a long time to get to where I'm at, and I'm okay with building that every day. So be consistent. There's a few people on the call. We're going to do a founders meeting for people that came on early on and contribute to what we're doing. I'm going to set up a meeting later this week. There's a couple people here that were in that party privy to last time. So we're going to do that again this week. We're coming out with new stuff and new services to make sure you guys get paid. If anybody doesn't know, we do pay our users for help sharing our software, and that's a big reason. It's a big reason why we do it, just because a lot of people, they just take all that money and take it in. But we want to really give back to our community and really give back to the people that help us grow. And a lot of people use that for marketing efforts. Somebody's actually going to go buy a new car once they hit a certain amount pretty soon. So we're really trying to help a lot of people automate their business and actually make money instead of paying us. Because there's a lot of people that pay us, but we want to pay you. And that's okay. But we'll talk about that. We have a lot of stuff coming out soon. Our event I'm excited for is in August. We have a lot of good speakers lined up. We're still confirming new speakers as it goes. I think we got like 2 more this past weekend that will be added to the flyer. So we'll be happy to announce those. But that is the Hive is Live /Summit, August 25th and 26th in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Hey, Mike, are you there?
What up, man?
Hey, can you call out of stuff that happened during your last year's event at our event? Because I know you had a big change happen from last year's event that happened at last year's event.
Yeah, I mean, last year's event was an incredible networking event. Had a blast. Really great to meet everybody and just have that live networking. But the big thing is Seer and I, after doing some deals together and really clicking and really complementing each other, we're able to team up. We've really started to scale what we're doing, and talk about consistency, man. We definitely stay consistent all the time. We're just pushing that marketing. So pumped up about this event as well. And also, after I've been doing land for 2 years now, and been in the Hive, and as far as being partnered up with Seer and have a full-time virtual assistant, I was able to finally quit my day job and go about this full time. So here we are. We're cranking. We're going full-time entrepreneur, full-time land, sending out tons of letters, tons of SMS. We're cruising with deals. I got to buy my ticket tonight. Can't wait. Definitely going to be there in Fort Lauderdale. We're going to make it a little family vacation because we got some family there. So I think the whole family is coming if we can get some good enough flights. And can't wait, man. It's going to be an event just looking at, everybody who's there speaking and knowing everybody who was there last year and the networking we did. I mean, it's one of those events you can't miss. So, I mean, it's absolute steal for that price. I mean, it's like you're losing money not going to this thing.
Yeah, I didn't expect all that, but there's Mike Novak. He met his now partner and he quit his job. So there's definitely a lot of network opportunities. And one thing I really want to focus about our event, we try not to sell like most events do. It's mostly our events are shorter than others, and we really like to focus on that networking side of it. And we provide a lot of opportunity for that. So I'm really excited about that, man. I'm hoping to see connections. And for anybody here that has any cool stories, we'll love to have you on the podcast. I know John Alexander has a good story coming out from people from the Hive. So if you guys have any cool stories that want to share, possibly on the podcast with us, definitely DM me. For any clients now that want to get on the podcast, have had success with it, we have our segment called Meet the Hive that we're always looking for people to interview for that. So if you're interested in hopping on the podcast, let me know. But one of the reasons why we do the podcast, and this is a whole other tangent, but we love doing the podcast because it brings a spotlight to you as an individual. It's not really for us, but it brings spotlight to you. So Mike's been on the podcast. Bob kind of has. She didn't know he was, but he ended up on there. But there's a lot of cool things that come from it, and we're seeing on the back end of like people getting leads and deals brought to them just for being on the podcast. So that's why we do it. And a lot of people aren't comfortable doing it, but it's really for you to get out of your comfort zone and try new experiences. So we like doing the podcast with new clients. We've broken a lot of people in as far as doing their first podcast, and we kind of help them exercise that and make it comfortable for you guys. So there's definitely opportunity in podcasting, and it's just an opportunity to get your message, whatever you're doing, out to the world. And we provide that avenue by hopping on the podcast. Oh yeah, Bob and Novak met through the podcast. Perfect example. So and it's crazy how it works though, but I didn't know about this before I started podcasting about the power of it. But it looks like Bob, you got something to say. How'd that story? You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, sure. So I was watching John Alexander interview Mike Novak on these little TikTok videos that he was doing for advertising his land on TikTok. And I never thought much of TikTok. I thought it was just, something for these teenage kids that play around. But yeah, he mentioned some property he had that was literally 20 minutes out my door. So I'm real familiar with the area and the community and the builders in the area because I'm in the building industry. And so reached out to him and said, hey, I don't know if I can offer anything, but if you'd like, I could put it up on Facebook and see if I can find somebody to buy that. He said, yeah, sure. Sent me a link, gave me the information. I put it up on Facebook at about 8:00 at night. And by 9:00 the next morning, I had several hits on it already and was able to find the very first person I called on it was a buyer, or was a builder who was building on the lot right next door to this lot here. And he wanted it bad. He wouldn't let me off the phone until we agreed on a price.
No, that's amazing, man. So for everybody here who might be scared of talking and speaking on podcasts, there's huge benefit that come from it. And Bob seen that just by being a listener, and Mike Novak benefited off it by speaking on it. So for everybody here who's scared of it, I was scared of it at one point too. And it's one of those things where like, I kind of got over it. And now I'm seeing the benefit on the back end, just providing a lot of value. But it's a huge win from the podcast. I didn't expect that one. I totally forgot that came from the podcast. Thanks a lot, Bob, for that one. I totally forgot about that. But there's a lot of cool things that come from it. So for everybody here, and like I said, Bob, I'd like to get you on the podcast too to talk about that in depth and what you're doing as far as in Colorado too, because it opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah, cool. Be happy to, man.
All right, sounds good, man. I'll hit you up later. But for everybody here, man, you always everything. If you were happy where you were, you'd already be there. So you got to do something to break that curve and break that habit to get to where you want to be. And for me personally, it was a personal decision I made like 2.5 years ago to change the position I was in. And now I'm here. No one put me in this position. I kind of created it, and I'm not patting my shoulder or anything, but it's one of those things where if you want things to change, you have to change. So a lot of things that there's a quote that says, everything you want is beyond fear, and it's not in the comfort zone. So you have to break a lot of those habits to get to where you want to be. So there's a lot of cool things you get from that. But that's a whole nother story and tangent. But I really appreciate everybody coming out. Like I said, these things, I would not do these calls if it wasn't for people here that listen to me and brought value or brought some type of value to people that other people listen to as well. So we invite you to participate and contribute to the group, because that's what makes it infinitely better. It's not about me or Anthony or anybody other leader that contributes. It's really the people that come together, and it's really the people that come together that make it the best group possible. Go ahead, Loretta.
Yeah, I just wanted to commend you on what you're saying. Exactly. I've learned so much. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say when I first went to the Hive Mind boot camp, first of all, I didn't even know how to work my computer because I'm always on the iPhone. I have learned so much how to work my computer now. I am so happy. I don't know what to do. And I am learning land glide, learning how to do the maps, but I have not made my first deal, but I'm close. I called a guy the other day who was selling a property here in California. I did my homework. It was, I think, 2.3 million. And I made him an offer. It was, I didn't even call you guys. I made him an offer because I'm just getting that confident with what I say, what you have taught me. And I lowballed it because I wanted to see what was happening. I did my homework, my research and everything.
Good.
And of course, he would not accept it, but that was okay. I'm going to hear some no's, $2.3 million. Boy, was I excited to hear that no. I just wanted to hear what he had to say about it. And so I'm learning, and I thank you guys. I thank the Hive because I came from literally just reading real estate books and not getting all the information that I needed. And this Hive, when the people come on here and you ask a question, everybody that knows anything about what you're saying will answer it. So I'm going to do a podcast now. I don't know what it's going to be about, but.
No, you don't have to know what it's about. I mean, we help you. That's what part we help you with. So I commend you for taking action. I commend you for making that offer. It takes a lot of, I'm sure your heart was beating out your chest. You're like, oh, what's he going to say? But that's it's an exercise. It's exercise. I talked about this on the podcast recently. And you don't know what they're going to say till you make that offer. So for you making that offer, it creates an open door that they can shut it or open it, leave it open at that point, and you can step through. But you made the point of making that offer, so I commend you for that. That's a big step.
Thank you.
That's a big step.
It was a big step.
So
wait till I get my first one. I guess I'm gonna skywrite my first deal with you guys. It's gonna be one of those airplanes. I know I'm just teasing, but anyway, I'm excited. I'm just still excited about working with land, real estate in the Hive. The Hive is the key for me. Everyone that I've ever talked to, and I'm talking about everyone. And if you're on here, you know who I'm speaking of. It's just marvelous. They give you such great information. Thank you.
No problem. So side note for Loretta, she came into the boot camp and she didn't know how to use a computer, much less the software. So we got her a mouse. That way she can manage the computer, and then we helped her kind of learn how to do texting and reply to people. So she had to go through computer training first and then Hive training. So it's different. People need different help, and we don't really know what they need till they show up there. So it's kind of cool helping her out hands-on, just with the computer side first, and then kind of with the other stuff afterwards after that part. But it's good to know that she's getting better with the computer side, because there's definitely a lot of changes that's happened over the last couple of years. So if you're not up to date on the computer stuff, that can hold you back from doing stuff on the real estate stuff. So side note here, I talked to an older investor out of California a couple months ago, and I just thought it brought to my mind because I was talking to him about like 2008, and that was before I was even learning about real estate. I mean, I was even 18 at the time, 2008. But I was talking about the 2008 time where the stock market went through. He actually got wiped out during that time when he was an investor. And for him, he's actually struggling right now to do investor type stuff because a lot of technology has changed and the marketing techniques have changed. And he hasn't been able to keep up to speed with the marketing techniques in general. So you always have to be, when you're doing investor type stuff, you have to keep up with the times as far as how people are marketing. What are they doing to find deals? Because you can get left behind just by technology. It's huge. So there's always going to be, you got to stay up on trends of what's working and what's not, because you can get left behind and you're going to work harder for deals just because you're not using the right type of marketing. So there's a little tidbit for that. And like I said, that was a conversation I had a couple months ago with an investor out of California. So a lot of stuff changing, and we have to adapt to, kind of pivoting into adaptation. With the text, I know everybody's probably seen the texting update that went out last week, but they're adding opt-out language for the new regulation for all the carriers. That's going to be the new future for outbound text marketing. A lot of people have been asking if they can change that or affect it in any way, but I'm like, no, it's the future. So if anybody hasn't checked out my video, I guess I'll kind of cover it now. But with the A2P2 regulation for texting, you have to now have opt-out language when you're texting. So we've added it to all the accounts that use our phone system under us to make sure you're using the proper language. That way, we're trying to prevent you from possibly being sued or getting fined and stuff like that. So we're definitely trying to help you on that. But one of the things we're doing to adapt is we're pivoting into PPC leads, and that's a new service we're launching soon. But we're launching PPC leads a la carte. It's going to be called Hive Leads. It's going to be coming out very soon. We're testing it and working that out right now. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. You can actually text PPC leads to the number, and we'll make sure you hear about it first. We've already been tagging a couple people that have been interested in over the past. We've been kind of alluding to it over the last few months, but we're getting closer and closer to release that. So essentially, those will be hot leads that come to your phone, and as soon as they come in, they'll be delivered to your phone. And right, it's going to be focused on land first, but once we get everything tuned in and find out, we'll probably be doing houses and agent type leads and stuff like that. But right now it's going to be strictly land for all the land investors here who want PPC leads. There'll be a la carte PPC leads coming out soon through the Hive leads. But that's something we're building right now just to adapt with the texting. So when they fill out the PPC lead, they're actually opting in to be contacted versus doing outbound text. So that's one of the ways we're adapting to regulation that has been passed down. And it's just one of those. Go ahead, Wayne.
Hey, Daniel, how you doing, man? I got a quick question on something that you just mentioned, the opt-out.
Sure.
So I had it built into my workflows that if they text certain things back, it automatically unsubscribes them. But will the opt-out be automatically built into the text, or is that an option that we have to select?
So if they elect the word stop, that's a great question, Wayne. If they elect the word stop, it's automatically going to kick them out on the Twilio side, which is the phone service we use. So it's automatically going to elect them to in Twilio that you can't text them again. And there's actually an update that came out today, which I'll probably cover soon. But if you haven't, essentially the DND was a one option slider. If you go check it right now, after this call, if you're on the call, you can check it now. There's options to essentially turn off DND for email, text, Google My Business, and Facebook, because you can essentially contact a lead 4 ways. So you can turn it off for DND for all 4 types or for just one. So if they reply stop, it's going to automatically mark them DND for texting.
Okay. So that's how I had it built out in my workflow, right? So now that that option is automatically available, will it loop in the workflow, or should I take it out, or what should I do?
With the new update, I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to test it out. I know it just came out today, so you might have to. I know it definitely DNDs them for the text if they reply stop in any way.
Okay, yeah, that's how I had it set up too. So it automatically DNDs them and sends another text message. Actually, that's an issue, because when the way that I set it up, if they text stop, it automatically removes them, but then it sends a text that says that you're unsubscribed, and those are coming back error, I guess because it's already stopped using the DND.
Yeah, just take off that part of the workflow, because once they reply stop, you can't reply.
Okay, cool.
Yep. And like I said, I've had because we use the same texting software that you guys do to manage all of the HiveMind clients. So we've had clients text stop to the weekly call notifications. And then once they I need help with the issue, and we can't even call or text them because they replied stop. So then we're stuck emailing them till they respond, and then they have to either text start or subscribe to the number, and then they'll get re-opted back in to be able to call or text them. So it's definitely a thing you have to keep an eye on, which is why, if anybody doesn't like the meeting notifications for these calls, you just reply banana and it removes you off, because we still want to be able to contact you if you're still a client or potential client in that way. So if you reply banana, it kicks you off all the automation. A great question, Wayne. So yeah, that's what's going on. Like I said, we have to adapt with how things are going. So with texting, not necessarily going out, it might be slowing down, in my opinion. If they increase the regulation more, it may stop, but I think it's still going to be work. as long as you have an opt-out message. So people that are doing like different forms of marketing, you might have people opt in to your marketing. Whether you're doing, no matter what type of marketing you're doing in general, you might have to have them just opt in and work towards doing that type of marketing versus like texting people. Mike Novak says, I saw the opt out last week, but it's not doing it now. I don't know. It should be doing it. Oh, okay. So how it works is it's going to send the opt out message to contacts you have not texted before from that account, and that's when it sends the opt out language. So if it's a client that you've spoken to before, it's not going to send that message. So it's only going to be.
I started a new campaign today, and it didn't do it. It was doing it for me last week, so I planned for it, but now it's not happening this week.
That's weird. I don't know. You might crack through it. Don't they might fix it though. So I wouldn't go crazy with it. I wouldn't go crazy with it. But yeah, like I said, there's definitely stuff coming down the line, and you just have to adapt to it. And that's one of the things about real estate and business. You have to adapt to whatever's thrown in your path. A lot of what we do is overcoming hard objections. So one of my mentors out of Phoenix, he was trying to get the utility list. So he went to the city and I'm like, oh, I want the utility list. I'm like, no, we can't give you that unless you're a nonprofit. So what does he do? He goes, creates a nonprofit and asks for the utility list, and they give it to him. So there's a lot of stuff you have to do to, when an obstacle comes, you just have to adapt and overcome it, no matter what it is. And it comes differently for everybody in different stages, but you just have to adapt and overcome it however you can, because there's always going to be another hurdle that you have to jump or bypass in some way. And that's for every stage in business, every stage. So don't think you get to a certain stage and they don't stop coming. They always keep coming. But great question, Mike. But anybody have any questions, concerns, about anything I talked about, or if you need assistance in anything? I know I kind of talked for the last 20 minutes or so about a lot of different topics. So somebody just messaged me right now. They're having problems with the thresholds not picking up when the auto reloads. What some people have been doing, so it's not necessarily me. Your card, when it runs your card in the background, for whatever that minimum charge amount. So if you go to your settings, company billing, you should have an amount there. And then there's like two drop downs. There's an amount saying to load how much you want to load on there. And the second drop down is what minimum amount you want to load by. So let's say, for instance, your account's at $10 and your minimum sets at $10. As soon as it breaks under $10, it's going to charge another account $10. So you're going to get like miniature transactions of $10 over and over again. The way around that is if you make that amount more, and I think it goes up to $500, you can load up $500 at a time. Just load up $500 whenever it's $10, I'll load up $500. If you're working within a certain budget per month, whatever that budget is that you're texting, just load that up manually and then leave it minimal. So let's say your budget is $150 a month for texting. Just load up 150, add balance. It's going to add $150 to your essential account, and then from there put it as back to $10. So what you're doing is once $150 runs out, you'll get charged 10, and you can manage it that way to make sure you don't over text out of your budget. So a lot of people, you might over text out of your budget because the texts are inbound and outbound, and all your calls. So if you're doing a lot of calling, if you're doing a lot of texting, and you're getting a lot of good responses back, it's going to hit you twice as much. So you always want to keep an eye on your spend and budget for texting, because it could easily, not necessarily easily, but if you send out too big of a campaign and you ran out of budget, it's gonna turn off your account. So we've had a lot of people messaging in saying their account isn't working. Usually we'll check the settings and they're like 50 cents negative. So you just have to make it positive and it'll start working again. But we haven't had any issues since last week. So everybody's good to go on that side. And like I said, we'll keep you notified as far as any regulation that happens for texting. But that's as far as the big update that happened last week, which I did a video on in the private group for everybody that affected. Anybody else have a question?
Hey, Danny, I got a question.
Go ahead, Cecil.
So on the app, when I'm trying to delete messages, it won't let me. I can do it from the top, but I'm having problems on the app doing that.
You can't delete messages at all. Everything's going to be recorded in some fashion. So you can't delete any messages, app or desktop. They're always going to be there.
Oh, wow. I thought I could previously delete the message, at least the ones that say stop, so we can get them out of all the conversations and not have to go through all that.
What you're talking about on the desktop, there's a button on the right side called mark as read or mark as unread. You can essentially kick it off your flow, but till you respond to them, they're always going to be on like that unread messages. So you have your unread, recents, and all. On the app, it looks different. And there's no mark as read on the app. So you almost have to, if you do like a big text campaign, you can reply to them on the phone, but you're still gonna have to cycle through those stop messages. Or you can create an automation around it. So there's a workflow automation. It's something conversation. So if you type in conversation on the top, I think it's called edit conversation. You can actually create a automation where if they reply stop, it's going to edit the conversation as mark as unread or mark as read. So kick it off of that message board automatically. So if anybody replies stop or any other keywords, you can create automation around that just to kick it off. So if you are managing it from your phone, you won't even see it.
Okay, I know what you're saying. Nice one.
Yeah, that's a cool one, especially if you're doing a lot of texting. It's hard to look at every text. I mean, it makes it easy, but it depends on how much you do. So like certain keywords, I just have the edit conversation, so I never see it just because it doesn't pertain to me anymore once they opt out. So I have that on all my accounts to edit conversation, so I don't see it. And it doesn't show up in my unread messages.
Okay, yeah, that's convenient for sure. So
it's very convenient.
I'll throw that in there, and appreciate that. Thanks.
Yeah, man. A lot of, like I said, a lot of what I do, I manage the system. Like I manage my whole a lot of different companies through this one software. So it can definitely help assist you if you're doing a lot of some things or another things. If you need help creatively as far as doing certain things and stuff like that, I'm really glad you mentioned that for everybody listening, because that's an easy fix. You can set up that will automate if you have too many unread messages. Really easy to set up and such a quick fix. So that was a good question, Cecil. Like I said, the system helps you automate a lot of your backend processes, so you're actually not wasting that time. As far as reading all that. Go ahead, Wayne.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something. I don't know if there's any new users on here or people on the fence thinking about it. I've ran through about 4 or 5 different CRMs. The most notable Podio, REI Sift, and REI Sift isn't really a CRM, but this CRM and the system setup is so robust, and you can do so much with it that it's ridiculous, man. Like you just have to understand and know how the system operates. And I'm still understanding and finding out how it operates, more technically. But you can do just about everything that you want through this system, with whether it be auto respond to certain texts, phrases, things of that nature. And that intrigues more buyers or more sellers and things of that nature, because they feel like they're being responded to attentively. And you can even step in and do another response. You know what I'm saying? Like the email system, the websites, the system provides it just provides so much more than all the other systems for the price point that it's at. And, I enjoy it. I'm a little tech guy, I guess, like semi-tech, but I enjoy it, and I enjoy what I can actually do with it. And, for everybody that's utilizing the system and coming up with the things that work for them, kudos, and I hope we keep on rocking. And it's a great system, and I love it.
Appreciate that, Wayne. Yeah, it's one of those things, man. A lot of people they can get overwhelmed in the beginning, but it's one of those things where like automate one thing at a time. And once you automate it right the right way, you don't have to worry about it no more. So it's a think of it as a wall. You can't just build a wall by putting a wall in. You have to build it brick by brick sometimes. So it's a process. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, man. I'm on that overwhelmed fence place myself. I'm learning the business and haven't been really using much of the CRM. Just being a part of the hive mind and making connections still. So, hey, can you talk a little bit about the Bhaskar? What is that going to be, a podcast or what? What is that thing coming up?
Sure. I will plug Bhaskar in. I don't know his
right on, man.
Bhaskar is doing like a training covering the system. If you're using it in a somewhat fashion, I think he's going to lay out like different like plans, not necessarily plans, but different like checklist of what you need to do first as far as to get it going. Because Bhaskar operates at a very high level. So he's doing a interview tomorrow. It's tomorrow for 3 hours. You can check it out. Just look at Bhaskar Pandy. He's doing an interview tomorrow about it to pretty much teach and educate for 3 hours straight and answer questions about the system and how to use it at a high level. So that's pretty much the gist of it. But the one thing I love about this, I muted you, Bob. You had a lot of wind blowing, but the one thing I like about what the system in general is that there's so many different variations. The way I built it, maybe you don't like, and you'll tweak it a little bit. So the way you built it might be different from Bhaskar. The way Bob builds it might be different from Loretta's. Like everybody's going to use it differently, and that's perfectly fine. Once you understand the basics of it, you can use it however you want, however you want to use it. And that's the beauty of it. So it's kind of open-ended for everybody that wants to, like, oh, I want to make it to my business. You can make it to your business too. It's one of those things where it's really adjustable and can be formatted to whatever style or format you operate in.
I'm a little nervous that Bhaskar is going to start teaching it at like college level, and I'm still at like elementary.
It's one of those things where like as long as you're open-minded and you understand the basics, Bhaskar's training will help out a lot. And that's for everybody's here listening. It's one of those things where I'm sure if I attended, I'll learn something just because he'll probably use it some way I've never even heard of. That's the beauty of it. So I use it completely different from everybody else. And like I said, I use it differently for each business. So I use it for 3 different businesses, and each business I use it completely different. And that's just how it goes. Because like, and me knowing how to use it all, I don't necessarily need all the things I need for each business. So the one business I use it the most in is Hive Mind for its clients and outreach. So I use it the most for Hive Mind, but the other 2, it's like a fraction of what I built on Hive Mind. It's just because I don't need it. I don't need it in all those facets, 100%. So it's one of those things where once you understand and how to work it for your business, it's something easy to inundate and get with. Yeah. So good question. But yeah, check out Bhaskar's training.
Yeah, will do. Thanks a lot, Daniel.
No problem, man. No problem. Who's got another question? We got 21 people here. Who's got a question? There's a lot you can do. So don't get overwhelmed. I think there's a graphic I made on social media. Is that you don't have to think about automating it once you get it right. You don't have to worry about it again. You just may have to tweak it in the future, but it runs if you set it up. That's it. Set it up and let it go.
Hey Daniel, I got a question. So I'm doing a owner finance on land.
Sure.
And for my very first payment, my buyer defaults. He doesn't make his payment. So what do I do? What do I send him? I guess, how do I track that? Hey, you missed your first payment. If you missed your second payment, that's it. I'm taking the property back.
Did you do a contract for deed, or how'd you do it?
Contract for deed.
Did he get paperwork as far as what is his default period?
Right, got it all.
Huh?
Yes, he has it all. He's got that.
then I would stick to whatever paperwork your default period says. So I would let them know, hey, you missed your first payment after your 60 days or 90 days. Your contract is null and void. So I would stick to whatever your paperwork says.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if there was something else I had to, I guess, file or send him, letting them know, hey, like on a credit card statement, you miss your payment, they're going to send you something. So
I mean, sending him something is just a courtesy. I mean, if he understood the parameters and put up the down payment from the beginning, he's going to know everything it entails, or he should know everything it entails if you explained it, which I'm sure you did.
Right.
So
right.
If he understood what he was getting into and he defaulted on the first 90 days, then it's one of those things where you keep him moving.
Okay.
But yeah, I hate to see it, but it happens.
Yeah, man. First payment, shit. Like, I don't know, at least make a payment or two. But it'll be a free property. What I got the property for is what he put as a down payment.
There you go. The rest is cash flow at that point. So if he does default, you can resell it again.
Picking up my son. Appreciate that.
No problem, man. I sold the house on a wrap. It was my first house I bought. I moved out of state, so I sold it on a wrap. My lease purchase buyer has never missed a payment, and I didn't, when the whole pandemic hit, I didn't talk to him for like a year. And the payments kept coming in on the date that it was supposed to come in. But I was like, I checked up after a pandemic hit like a year and a half in. I'm like, hey, everything good? He's like, yeah, everything's good. And it was one of those things like, so lease purchase buyers, note buyers, they're really, really great sometimes. But Cecil had a bad experience, but at least he could resell it. But it's still always a good thing. But finding the right buyers that are consistent, it's kind of cool having technically almost like a renter, but pays it on time for over 2 years now and haven't had any issues. So I'm kind of blessed on that part, but it's very interesting what you can do in real estate. Very, very interesting. All right, we have a few minutes left. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I had a question. So, I mean, I'm just getting started, and I actually was brought to the group by Mike Novak. I met him at a real estate event up in Massachusetts.
Awesome.
But, yeah, so I'm just getting started with my first kind of direct mail campaign. I'm setting things up with Rocket Print and everything. Just kind of, just trying to get all my ducks in a row for when people like come back and I'm ready to move forward. If I find a potential seller, what are the documents that I need to get, like, just get everything recorded. I know that you can use an attorney, but would it make sense if I'm doing a smaller deal to try to close just between the title company and me and try to do some of the, draft up some of the documents on my
own? First, I will say we're not attorneys, so this is not legal advice. But second, there's paperwork out everywhere that you can get. I'm sure you can probably message somebody, or somebody's messaging right now saying they have paperwork they can give you. But there's paperwork out there. I recommend at least getting some type of draft paperwork. I would not recommend drafting something yourself, but using something that's already out there. All you need is a purchase and sale agreement. Most contracts in their basic form are assignable, but having something in there saying it's assignable is perfectly fine. Signing a purchase and sale agreement with the seller, and then from there you'll need either an assignment contract or another purchase and sale agreement with your end buyer, which would be a double close, and you submit all your paperwork to the title company. So there is some type of middle work sometimes to make sure all your paperwork's in order, make sure the buyer submits his earnest money, make sure all that stuff is done. But a lot of this paperwork is done through the title company, and you might be able to contact the title company and they'll give you paperwork. Like, there's a lot of places to get paperwork in general, so don't overthink that part. If you already have a motivated seller and you need paperwork last minute, just make it known, and somebody will probably send you some. As far as where they got it from, I don't know, but the paperwork's the easy part. The hardest part of this business is finding motivated sellers. Paperwork's the easy part. So don't overthink it, man.
All right, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, don't overthink it.
Yeah.
But good job in making those first steps to even get it in order.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem, man. Yeah, for everybody here, don't overthink the paperwork. It can get difficult later on, but don't overthink the paperwork on your first deal. Just find that motivated seller, get under contract, and push it out to the buyer. That sounds simpler than it is, but that's the gist part. That's the gist of it. Don't overthink it. That's all I'll tell you. You can get in your own head and prevent yourself from progressing by overthinking. So don't let that be you. For everybody listening, don't let that be you. All right. I know we have a lot of new people here on the call. If anybody hasn't joined our free Facebook group, it's the Hive Mind CRM on Facebook. Definitely check it out. We do a lot of there's a lot of free content there. You can put questions up, and there's plenty of people there to help you and assist you no matter what it is. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Everybody here is here to help each other in some way or some format, for the most part. So we're all here to help each other, including me and everybody that participates. So if you have some knowledge to give, or if you have some questions to answer, don't feel afraid to ask. We're nearing the end of this call. We do these calls every Monday and Thursday. We do podcast release Monday through Friday on the Hive With Us podcast. We are on mostly all networks, so you can check us out there. We do a lot of education and a lot of education in general towards real estate and business. For everybody here listening, be open-minded. There's a lot of people out here that not necessarily on real estate, but they are business oriented, and real estate is a business. Don't overthink it. There's a lot of money that goes in and out of hands. If you make $10,000, it might not be all profit. You might have spent $2,000, $3,000 in marketing to get that deal. So you have to count accordingly. Keep track of your numbers, keep track of your KPIs, make sure you follow up with your sellers. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into business, and a lot of stuff people don't talk about. So make sure you're protected in all ways in business. So my 2 cents on business. But we got time for one more question. Who's got another question? It's okay. It's okay. You guys can think about questions and put them in the Facebook group, because somebody will answer them, not just me. But there's a lot of value out there. What people always say they can learn from YouTube University, which is where I learned. But if people give you the opportunity to ask questions, it kind of shortcuts a lot of that searching. Like you can learn anything on YouTube, but you might have to watch 10 videos to get that answer. So sometimes it's better asking the questions when you have somebody here ready to give them. But that's for another conversation. But we appreciate everybody coming out, man. This is these calls are for you guys, and like I said, we try and provide as much value as possible. Please check out our free Facebook group.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.onelistguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.
Our next call is Thursday. If you want to get added to these calls, you can actually text us at 210-972-1842. Just text the keyword HIVE and you'll get added to these calls. But we appreciate everybody coming out. Check us out on the next call on Thursday. We appreciate everybody. Have a great day, guys.